Look at that fine looking machine, man. Bad accent. Hey, welcome back to DMAC Customs on the YouTube. Dave here in the garage, Area 51, a bomb truck storage vehicle. This week, I'm going to do some more work on the interior. I did mention last week I was going to, do some sound deadening and stuff, but I opened up that box of sound deadening and it looks suspiciously like the stuff that all melted on the inside of the bomb truck. So I won't be using that in any particularly hot areas or up on the roof because it doesn't seem as kind of sticky as the likes of like Dynamat or whatever. So I got some other stuff coming. I was hoping it would have been here this week, but it's not. But what we're doing this week is, hopefully you can see in there, you can see the air tank and stuff in there. So I've got to make a panel because I want to fill that in so I can then sound deaden that said panel to help eliminate some of that compressor noise coming through into the car. And I've got to make a couple other panels up just to go in the doors. That one will be pretty straightforward. Driver's door, whole different design. So I can't even just like make one side and double it up. I've got to kind of custom make both sides. But they are just going to be made of aluminium, aluminium, that soft silvery looking stuff. And so we've got to set about trying to figure out how to make them, and then we can kind of get them all screwed in place. I want to make them obviously removable. That's, well, can't weld aluminium to the car, but so let's get at it. Anyway, I've got to find my aluminium. Okay, so in behind the toolboxes and stuff is my aluminium. So I've just got to get that out and then figure out how I'm going to make the stuff. I might even get the old bomb truck out of the garage today and make some room because, like, it's just got stuff stored on it. These seats are an absolute pain in the ass. They need to go back in the van. Yeah, I wonder if I should do that today. I don't know. And then they've got my console. That's got to get prepped up to be painted, and I should really stop stalling and just get on with it. Okay, so I'm gonna fire up the bomb truck. This is I can't remember the last time I drove this, so it's probably got a very weak battery because I think the battery's on its way out. So we'll see how it goes. Might be right. Starter's a bit noisy, but it's got a bit of a gallop. Oh, started without having it have to jump start it. Squeaky belt as well in there. Such a smooth motor when it's cold though. It's unreal. And it gets that weird tappity tap when it warms up a bit. Hear that rattle coming on now. I have no idea what it is. Other than that, this thing runs super smooth. There we go. Just what I was looking for. Right, so got that out. And I guess you do a kind of a quick measure in here and do a bit of a rough cut. I'll start on this back piece over there. It's not going to be that big actually, so might be able to get it off one length. So get a tape measure. If I cut a piece, I want to kind of lap it down onto here, and so just to be on the safe side, I'll go about 250 because I am going to have to do some stuff. I want to tuck it behind there, I think. Why did I bend those down? Don't know. I wonder if I just have to cut them off. It must be something to do with, I've bent these down for some reason. It might be something to do with hooking the seat onto here, so I might actually end up trimming those off a bit. But yeah, so I want to kind of come up and then mount onto that face there somehow. and so I want to go what, probably about 250 by, there's a bit extra, by a metre. I don't know what that is in inches, it's like a yard, and maybe about 11 inches or something, for those folk that are interested in that kind of stuff. Oh, other thing, there's my knees. There's no puddle under there now, so you know, I was talking about that coolant leak. After running it up and down the street a few times last week, it's not leaking again, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Might have self-healed, so I'm hoping that's the case. On the other upside, she's a bit up in the back, but she's actually still, is that a scratch? Oh, it is too. Rough. So she is staying up, so yeah. Another scratch. When did I do that? Must be me climbing in and out, not managed to chip it, but never mind. Stuff like that's all going to get a bit of a touch up later in the picture, and that's the beauty of having a shitty paint job, is you can easily touch it up and it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so what I say, 250 by a metre. Okay, so that's 930 that way, and that kind of huck it up, edge up there is just about 960 or something like that. So I just went and done a more precise measure, and I should be able to get away with 930. So if I just cut 250 off that, we should be all good to get that piece out of it, hopefully. So I'm gonna figure out a nice way to cut this. Might just zip disc it because my jigsaw is a bit janky. You can use skillies and stuff on aluminium, but zip disc is handy, hanging on the wall and ready to rock. As we say, 250. I was really surprised that the truck was going to actually start it as easy as it did. That's what I want to put over there, but obviously I'm going to have to cut that down because that's actually sticking out proud, but I knew that. So what I want it to do, this is kind of out of it actually, how this is structured, is these kind of come up proud, but then they're flush there, but then that's flush with that kind of flush there and stuff, so it's going to be a little bit weird. It would be nice just to do it in one piece, and then it's, you know, one piece. I did think maybe if I did it in two pieces, you know, into there, to there, but then that's still, you know, that brace, don't really need it in two pieces, but something else, yeah, this is weird, like, because that comes up there like that. I mean, I made this bit ages ago. Now I've got to figure out what's going to happen to it if I try to kind of tip it. Is it going to come off at there, come up and then drop in, and then how's that going to impact the seat? This was supposed to just be one of those little simple little, I'll just bolt up some stuff and screw it on there. But now I'm thinking it's not as simple as I first anticipated. Yeah, I don't know if you can sort of see what I'm on about. Oh, see how that kind of comes out, you know, like that, up like that, but then this, that brace must sit further forward and it must come out on a different angle to these. For some reason I just assumed they were the same, but it's obviously not the case. Either that or when I cut in a parcel tray, maybe I made that happen that way. Maybe they're not that way from factory. Highly likely, fellas. But we'll make it work. It might not be super pretty, but it will function for what it's going to be doing. It's not going to be visible and stuff, but we'll make it we'll make it land. I've also been back through and re-zip tied all my electrical stuff up there. I want this to be removable, so if I have to get into that stuff, it's sort of easier to get into it from the back than, well, from in here than it is in the boot, because the boot's like shallow and, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do, I guess, to kind of figure out where I'm going with this is get this sort of trimmed down so I can kind of fit it in the places I want to fit it. I have to trim that bolt down, that cap screw, and because I was thinking we would be, you know, putting a brake in it along here, brake and a brake, so it kind of like come up and step down, but in the middle obviously it doesn't need to do that, it's only out the sides. This is like, as DD Speed Shop says, this is past Dave coming to haunt future Dave, or present Dave, by something I have done in the past that is now potentially giving me grief. So we've got a brake in that bit. Anyway, I'll do some marking. So it comes out to about there, so I'm going to have to trim back there, there, and there, and there, and I want to trim that back about that much. Okay, so I'll go and cut those out, and then we'll come back and try and figure out some of these angles, I guess. Can I mark those now? No, I'll trim these bits out first. Speed square. $45. Managed to get one of these holes in the wrong spot, but that'll be alright. The old tin snips to get through there. Okay, so a couple of little adjustments. I've made this too tight, but that's alright. And I forgot about that. There's a riv cert sticking through there, so I'm going to trim out that for there. But from here on in, I can maybe mark my angles. I really should hold that up as straight as possible way before I do that. I might need to lock that down there a little bit too, actually. Alright, trim. Snip. So this is what I was talking about with, with this kind of not really landing how I would have liked it. So what I'm going to have to do is I have to put a brake in through here, but it's going to be like a stepping down kind of brake. So it's going to have to step down and then step back, so it'll have almost like a wedge brake in through here, because it'll get flat back there. Somehow. So I want, so I'm going to have to put a little thing through there. And then I'm not sure if this is going to work actually. Oh, we'll try. We'll go from there to there. That may affect this edge here. Go like that to around about there. We might as well take it. Okay, let's have a look. If we go the train, we'll run a line through there. That's kind of where I want it to flatten out again. And then we're tipping in from here to about there. I'm going to be able to do this with my means. My little my little folder, and there's this big ugly door in the way, so I'm gonna move some shit around. Like this homeless guy came past my place and he dropped this door off and just left it here. He kindly kind of clear coated it and stuff, but he said he was going to come and pick it up. He's not actually homeless, it's just Carl from Bunny's garage. He wanted some stuff done on that, which is not happening now. So yeah, so come and get your door, Carl. Okay, so let's see if I can do what I want to do. So I wonder if I go, no, this doesn't this is not really ideal, to be honest. Okay-ish. I'll give it a little tweak up there. Might have to do some hand folding with the rest of it. Oh, that got me started. So from there I need to figure out a way to do the other bits I need to do. So my little folder, probably if I'd done the back side first, it probably wouldn't be right, but it doesn't matter. It's one off. So I've got to come over here. I've got to tip that edge down. I wonder if I could just push it over by hand. Might be right, actually. Get it on my line. Ish. Okay, worked sort of slightly better than I thought it would, but we'll take that back into the car and have a look and see what it's going to do. Here, there's my knees. Big fella's up there, like so. Okay, so we need more tip down. Oh, do we? We do on this side. We need more tip down here, and then maybe flatten that out a little bit more. Maybe a bit more tip down and a bit more flatten out, and she won't be too bad. It's not perfect, but she won't be too bad. Really cool with that tucked up under there. Can I make that happen? Could I make it so that slips in behind? Trim that off, and that slides down in there. Okay, so as you've seen, I gave those things a bit of a tip in, and hopefully they're getting closer. There's my knees again. Yeah, so we're getting pretty close to where that needs to be. Unfortunately, doing that kind of does take kind of material out of it. Well, kind of not material out, but it kind of changes that angle sort of thing. So if I was wanting to have it all nice and square, I'm going to have to come back in and trim this up, which I may do yet, but we'll have a look. You're going to fall off? I don't know. So yeah, if I was to trim that, we'd have to be coming back down to around about here. Alright? But yeah, so let's try that side, that's better. So I want to trim those off. I'm just a bit worried that this will interfere with my seat. It shouldn't. Oh, it might do actually. I'm going to have to look at my seat, how that hooks on there. Where is it? Is that the one up there? Yeah. So it's got that bar that hooks in there. Oh, looking at the wrong bit. Okay, I'm going to have to put my seat in and have a look. Okay. Seat's in, like the back frame. I'm not sure like exactly what my plan is now for this. Is that in properly? Oh no, I've missed back there, but missed back there as well, but that's okay. What I'm looking at here is where it hooks in to that bar in relation to that. So I actually want that to tip in and flatten out to miss all that. The middle will be alright. It's just this outer edges. I wish I'd done that before I started bending all this up. So it really needs to bend further down, kind of, or at least more of a 90, and then back up to clear that bar and that bar. Okay, so I've kind of flattened it off a bit. So what I'm thinking is that I need to go here, not there. And then we want to go about an inch down and start our flatten off there. So that one and that one. Tip it. We'll give that a try. Okay, so as you can see, it's opened up that gap up there. That's not the end of the world, but I think actually in essence it might work. So Where's my seat frame? Here. It's got to get tucked in at the bottom first. I see. Okay, there's a new bind, which is that down bar there. It's hitting on both of those, so choice. This possibly in there too, that one. No, not quite. So we're hooked in at the bottom on both, hooked in on all sides. No, we're not even hooked in on the top one there. Yeah, so we need to, I don't know, maybe run a bead roll into those. I need to get a pen and mark them. But yeah, I'm just making up some quick panel to fill in that gap. Honestly, I didn't expect it to fight me quite like this, but it is what it is. This is what happens. This is the snowball effect. You customize one thing and then everything else has to be modified after that. It is significant, the amount of stuff you have to think of. You know, full credit to car designers, even back in the 50s. Even look at that gap there where the upholstery is going to come down and cover that. You have to make allowances for your door card to, you know, you can't make that too thick. Well, not your door card, you know, your inner panel. That's going to have to be thin enough that it doesn't get interfered with. And actually needs to go that way too, I think. But you know, all these little things. So I just got to go and grab a pen. I knew I should have brought one with me, and I'll mark where I think I'm going to have to run a bead roll or something down those bars, just to kind of maybe get a bit more clearance in there. And then I do want to, I've got to trim out down there somewhere too at the bottoms, because I want to tuck it in behind. So I'll need to trim some more bits and pieces off the top to get it in there. I don't know, I'm just spitballing out in my head at the moment. I need a pen anyway. I'm just going to mark down either side of that. And do that one as well. Oh, there's a thing. Doesn't need to be get that one. Doesn't actually need probably to go all the way. It's just to kind of put an indentation in the upper part, because on the bottom part I actually want it to be flat again. So it is really just that upper section. I don't know. Figure this out and I'll let you know what I'm planning on doing when we get, yeah, the whole panel actually needs to go that way slightly, I think. And the seat frame needs to go that way slightly, I think.
It actually needs to go that way too, I think.
Yeah, it's almost touching over there, but it's miles away over there. So, is there a bolt hole down there? No. What's the plan for that? I don't know. Okay. But I don't need these bead rolls to go all the way down. I only need to go about to there. So I'll stop them about 60 from the bottom. I don't need to do that middle one. That one should be clear. So I'll get the old roller of beads out of it, wherever that is. Oh, it's buried back there, so I'm going to dig that out from under the bench. Chase down that blowfly that's decided to move into the garage, and we'll see if we can kind of roll some clearances in here. That might help with any kind of drumming and stuff. to a degree, but yeah, bead roll is under there, so I just got to get that out. Okay, so just got this set up, changed out my dies on to the biggest kind of that style, you know. Run a couple of little tests, or a single little test through there. So I'm going to go to about there. Oh well, I'll just hit it. Oh, she's wanting to get off my line. Here we go. I want it to tip into there. Alright, it'll work. Doesn't get me on that tight edge, so I might have to just like hammer that somehow. Just wanted to. Oop. After doing the second one on that tight edge there, I did manage to get it to roll over the edge on the first side, so but it's not kind of quite right. So I'm gonna endeavour to do a little bit of tweaking on there. Bigger hammer. Options. Did kind of work. It has kind of roughened up my stuff a little bit, but a little bit more hammer and dolly work on that should be alright, you know what I'm saying? Alright, put this away and then we'll start cleaning this up a bit. Okay, so I just used my die, if you didn't notice, off my bead roller to try and, you know, hammer this bar, not that one, the smaller one, to try and get that a little deeper right on the high point. Probably not best practice to be hammering on dies like that, being that they're probably all high tensile sort of stuff, and it's probably not good for them at all. But it's stretched out a couple of bits here and there, and bead roller marked things here and there, but it's gonna be fine, considering it's gonna be completely unseen. It's just, you know, it's nice to try to get it nice, not just huckery tick screw a piece of material over there and that's the end of it. I just do want to try and hammer it up a little bit, so I'll just get that underway. Okay, so if I move the camera real fast, you can't see how much hammer marks and bead roller marks and that are in this thing, especially up on these two ends. Oh, if you're looking at it too long, you can look at me instead. Takes a little bit of finagling to actually get it into place, like, because you got to kind of flex it in the middle to get it to drop down over that hook in the, well, the off middle. And but now the test will be what happens when I put the seat frame back in with those bits that were hitting it. It should clear a little bit better. It might still touch in a couple of places, which is highly likely. It's just I don't really want it kind of like squeaking and stuff if I can avoid it. But yeah, we'll see. Hang on, I'll get this thing fitted in and we'll have a look. She's back in place. She still seems way closer over that side than this side. I don't know why it wants to head in that direction. Can I get it to move? But yeah, she definitely kind of clears better, but she touches right there, I think. So that's a bit of a pain. It kind of makes quite a bit of a rattle, other than the springs kind of chiming. Those bars are still kind of rattling against that aluminium, but not the end of the world. Like if I put some sound deadener stuff on there, that's gonna mute it. But yeah, just am having a bit of issue getting the thing to hook in properly and go side to the right side. It's off center at the top.
It actually needs to go that way too, I think. But seat frame needs to go that way slightly, I think.
Top, but just a little bit at the bottom by the looks of things. I haven't run a measurement or anything over it, but it just looks like it wants to be pushed that way slightly. The whole seat frame, which it should be able to do. It's just, yeah, getting it to do it the way I want it to. You know how sometimes you just kind of like leap into things and you don't kind of necessarily think everything through. When I marked where I needed to swage and bead roll my back panel there, I didn't take into account that the seat frame was not centered in its mounts.
It actually needs to go that way too, I think. But seat frame needs to go that way slightly, I think. It wants to be pushed that way slightly.
And once I did center it up properly, all the bead rolls are in the wrong spot. So I'm going to ugly this up by running new bead rolls down next to it. Actually, I don't know if I'll be able to. The bead roll is going to get fouled up on that other one next to it. I don't know how I can do that. And yeah, just going to have a kind of offset deeper channel to give me a, I might have to just hand hammer it, make a bit of a buck of some sort and just sort of hammer it by hand, which I probably could do actually. And yeah, oh god, I'm an idiot sometimes. But the seat sits in there centered, it's fine. But now it's kind of fucked up it's kind of fouled up my panel there as far as the neatness of my bead rolls. So yeah, well, I'll pull it all out and then we'll try and rectify that a little bit and not wreck it. Okay, so tried to bead roll down parallel next to it and it didn't really work that nicely, and so I try and do a little bit of hand hammering. That's not really working that nicely either. So I'm just gonna kind of persist. Like I say, it's gonna get covered in sound deadener anyway, so it doesn't have to be super pretty, but it would have been nicer to be a little bit prettier from the inner trunk side. But it's not it's not great, but yeah, we might sound deaden both sides just to you know, extra sound deadening against those compressor noise coming through the little firewall thing I'm making. Alright, figured it's probably just as easy to get it started with the bead roller and then hammer finish it from there. Does flatten out the other bead roll a bit though. Okay, doing all this ass backwards is probably not the right way to go. Should probably do all the bead rolly stuff first and then do all the folds. Okay, so once you get a seat in front of it, it looks a whole lot better. So that all those down bars all clear now, which is good. It's a little bit rough looking at the moment. Once I kind of clean it all up and that, it won't look as bad. It probably does need some kind of sound deadening on the inside of the trunk just to kind of make it look better. The stuff I've got at the moment is like gold, and it would be like stand out like dog's balls if I put that on there. So I do have a little bit of Dynamat, but I was kind of saving that for the toe boards and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's your fits. I've still got a little bit of a trim to do up in there. It doesn't quite clear that spot welded on bracket is that nicely. I probably just need to try and open it up a little bit. But I'll have to mark it all now to drill holes and all that kind of stuff, because I'm just going to screw it in place. I did think about doing riv certs and all of that kind of malarkey, but that's like, nah, it doesn't really need it. I've got a bunch of little black screws which will be just fine, and so I just got to use my handy dandy pen here and mark out where I'm gonna put all my screws, and then do a final couple of little trim and then sort of start cleaning it all up. I'll drill it actually while it's sitting in here now. I think that might be the way to go. No, I'm saying. But yeah, my folds and that actually all worked out well. It clears these crossbars on those both sides. We do have it is touching up here, which is kind of fine. I'd rather it would be touching it firm than kind of just loosely touching it. It doesn't seem to be kind of rattling and stuff anymore. We've got the bottoms are both in. The bottom of these little brackets here, they hold the bottom of the seat in. Oh, I missed the centre one. I forgot there's the centre one, but that'll be alright. It'll clear. It'll be all good. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. Okay, so that's all the screws in place that I'm going to screw it in with. So now I've just got to take it all back out again and then go and clean it all up and stuff like that. There should be more than enough screws. I just didn't want it kind of rattling. It does have a pucker in there, but that doesn't matter. That brace is behind there. So there's kind of a little bit of a foul up with spot welds and stuff like that. I probably should have done a little swage or something in there, but it would have fouled up even more so with that brace and that, I think. I could screw that as well, but I don't think I will. I think once I cover that in some sort of Dynamat or sound deadening stuff, it'll be just dandy. So right, I'll pull all that back out again. I've got to remember, I've got a pen in here, I've got to trim that. Okay, so I've cleaned up like just the edges and that. I haven't done any BA and stuff. I thought about it, but that's just, it would just be to make it look good on camera pretty much. And I've been through my Dynamat that I had out in the back there that was left over from when I did the Dynamatted the bomb truck. And I got a couple of offcuts which will be good for putting on the back side, so this will be in the inside the boot, you know what I mean. That's going to come to to there ish. It doesn't matter if it goes right out to the edge, but we want to kind of maybe cut it on that edge or even through there. I think I've actually done this wrong. Yeah, I'm going to have to stick that on that side. Okay, so got me dynamite on the back of this thing, so I'm going to put this in and it probably won't come out again unless I break something on these again. So now I've got to just reinstall this. Okay, so that's that panel done and then closed up that gap. What I'll do before we, when we're doing the interior and stuff, is I'll probably put some sound deadening stuff on the roof, so it's not like a rattly tin can before the headliner goes in and that. Obviously, I'm waiting on some stuff arriving. They said they shipped it same day and stuff, but that was like 4 days ago. And we probably might put a bit on the parcel tray and a bit of sound deadening in the back here, just to kind of take some of the drumming and stuff out of everything. I have got that stuff that I showed you in that box. I don't know if I showed you the actual product, but I've got that stuff in the back room there, which will be good for kind of rear end of the car sort of stuff, like parcel tray, probably in the floor, in this back wall and stuff here. I wouldn't put it on the roof. I don't know whether it would stick that well, to be fair. I wouldn't put it anywhere kind of as a heat kind of thing. This is one's purely more for a sound deadening sort of thing, so it might go in the boot floor, stuff like that, and possibly, I did think, wondering if, I probably can't put it in, it won't stick to any of that, but like just in a few other places. Maybe, the floor back here could get some, but not where we've got too much exhaust heat coming through here and firewall heat. I'm going to use the Dynamat in that area because it's a bit more proven than the kind of cheap stuff I've bought. This other stuff that I've got coming, I think that is more a bit more like, I can't really remember now, I think it is a bit more like butyl foil kind of stuff like Dynamat, whereas the stuff on that gold roll, you'll see what I'm talking about when you see that, that is foil backed, but the gooey stuff is kind of different. Hey, it's not quite what I thought it was going to be. It looks more like that stuff that all melted through the floor of the truck, as I said. But yeah, so that's that done. Next up on the agenda is I want to make a couple of panels for closing up those gaps in that door, and I want to do something similar for that, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that one yet. That's quite significantly different, and I'm not really sure what's going on, like what the original door card was supposed to be, because it's got those two little hook things there, as well as that sort of sill tray thing at the bottom, which the door card and that I think hooks into, which the other door has, but that one has that and those things there. So I might have to make up 3 panels. I was thinking it might just be one. Okay, so if you look over there, I just need to make up two kind of rectangular panels with rounded corners. In theory, super straightforward. This party over here is kind of different. So, well, kind of. It's a whole lot different. Someone did tell me once in the comments which year each door was. One was, I think, like a 49 and this is a 51, but I think one of the doors is maybe a 49 or a 50, and they're just different, maybe different manufacturing plants, who knows, but it's quite, yeah, externally exactly the same. This carry on here, why why so different? So, you know, this, if I was to make a kind of insert just to kind of like fill in this, it's kind of, you know, relatively straightforward, but then it dips in here. So if I just had it coming across and, you know, do I dip it in, and, you know, even there the door actually flares, has got a slight kind of curve in it that way up this end, but over here it steps down, you know. So if on this side here, if I was to make a panel that kind of comes in to be able to screw onto there, the question being is, how far do I take it? Do I take it down to here or just to this edge here? Same with it, that mamma jamma there. And if I do go down there, I'm going to have to tip the edges, you know, put a little break in there, and then, you know, cut the top on a freaky little curve. There's just a whole raft of things that are weird about this, and I don't know what these are for. I suspect there's something to do with holding a door card on, or whether they're to do with this, you know, cover which might have been in here. So we've got screws. We're missing one there, but we've got screws across the top, and so I wondered whether the initial cover maybe sat down in here and kind of came all the way up and covered everything, but then this sits proud, so you'd have to cut it out from about here and cut slots out for that card to, you know, this fill piece to fill those gaps, if you know what I mean. It's just like, I don't know what to do, man. Like, do I do it and try to do it in one piece, or I suppose I could try. I'm going to use the same amount of material regardless. I'm going to do a rough measure so I can start. I want it to come out to about there. So 1.10 by, what's our highest point? So we have that sitting in there. 420. What have we got? No. Oh no, I haven't actually got enough to do it in one piece. She's close. Oh yeah. Down in this front corner I can bring it that way. So I've got to plan my cuts very carefully. Might bring that sheet over here and do some transferring of measurements. What did I say before? About 1.10 m. Give me a little bit of wiggle room. Add an extra 20 more onto there. That chunk missing. So this is taking us right down into here. So in that corner we don't need that area, so we'll be cutting that out. You know what I mean? Okay, so here we are. Obviously, you know, this is my highest point here. I've got it sitting in that track there. So I'm going to start working out what I can trim away. So I want to go like so, there, and in here we can pretty much just do a, I could just cut the corner off of that. I don't think it's going to matter. No. And over here, actually we could probably come to there. So go to that line. And that sort of drops there. And there's going to be a hole there to there. And then that's where Gonna be there, another brace, and then we can come back there, there, get those out of the way. Put a mark down here to register it. Clearance for that brace is only going to be to about, I need a measuring stick. I don't know what I've done with my little ruler. Never mind, down my knees. Through to there. 138 from there. Brace only needs to be cleared to about there. I've just got a pen on my face. Alright, I'm going to do some trimming and then we'll have a look. Okay, so rough cutting this in, rough being the ultimate word, we're getting kind of in the ballpark, I think. Pen mark's coming off, let's put that back on. So if I come down through here, cut to that side of the line from now. You only want to go to about there on that one. Right, I'm going to trim that up. Okay, so this is where we're at. I've just been kind of like cutting down through here. These I'm hoping to be able to kind of fold them back and return them down, if you know what I mean. Those little hook things there, I don't know whether they're going to be a thing. Are they touching? I suppose they are. And then we just got to kind of work out a bit of a trim for this upper section here. But to do that, I might, no, I'll mark it now and get a rough cut in for that too. So I'll just go and rip that up. Okay, so I've just put a couple little marks on here. That's pretty much where I get an edge again that I could maybe tip down to. I probably could just have it sit flat on here. Wouldn't be the end of the world. That still needs a bit more off of there. Does it? Just right down. Could just go rounded corner, it'd be nicer even though I couldn't do it on the other side. If I cut down through there, get that off, cut that off, cut that off. Start putting some of these little bends in a few things and see what happens. But okay, so battery's nearly dead again. Man, batteries, I need a new GoPro real bad. My batteries are dying, my GoPro's like getting beat up. So that's, she's actually all kind of, does actually fit pretty good. I'm not sure. Nothing in here, so I need to get it all kind of screwed into place now to sort of see how much kind of popping and, you know, flex it's going to have with, you know, whether I need to kind of run a little bit of a bead roll through somewhere just to stop it canning and that, you know, just to put something in it. So I don't want to do too much in there because that's probably where this door speaker is going to go. Don't worry, it's not going to be big ugly plastic covers on the inside, it'll just be something subtle. And so whether I don't know, just maybe, I don't I don't know, I probably shouldn't have done those little folds before I decided to bead roll anything, but they're only shallow, so we should be alright. Anyway, I'm going to drill some holes for these screws that I've got already in here, and then I'll screw those on. Yeah, okay, so I've got the holes drilled that I know where they're going, so we'll go and screw that on there. Okay, so that'll go on. Trimmage happening there. Okay, so tin canning as I suspected it would. Not a big deal. I might run a couple of beads through it just to take the canning and that out of it. I'm not sure whether I need to maybe chuck a screw or two in down the bottom. I might do the beads first and just see what happens. Just kind of fairly shallow, thin ones I think should be okay. But yeah, so we'll pull this off and figure out where I can do that. Get going down there, and we'll go. Okay, so it's on there, and yeah, run some like long beads in there. It's still cans and stuff, but I don't think it'll really matter once I've got like door cards and that on top of it, if you know what I mean. That'll kind of stop it from rattling and stuff. I ultimately was just trying to close up those holes, and you know, just to stop, like, you know, if you get moisture comes through and gets into the back of the door cards, it's a bit of I'm over here. But anyway, like you get, you know, the door cards can get a bit gooey and stuff, but that, we're talking another 30 years down the track, really, of it being parked outside, and it's probably unlikely to happen unless we run out of petrol and fossil fuels and stuff, and then it'll just be a lawn art from bygone days. Now I did think about putting some screws through into those little funny little tabs that are sticking out down there, since they don't seem to really do anything in this situation. I tried putting one in down lower and missed, so I kind of got gun shy and didn't bother. But I also don't want to have like 400 screws in there just to take that thing on and off, so I think it'll be okay here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so that'll do for that side for now, and now we'll make the easy ones for the other side, I reckon. So haven't got a whole lot to do, so it's just cutting a couple of rectangles and screwing them into place. Okay, so in theory these are a great tool, but they've never been that great. Yeah, and the logic behind them is like they should be awesome, but that thing has always like stalls out, like it stalls, and it doesn't matter what you're cutting through, doesn't matter whether it's a new blade, compressors up full noise, it just binds and stalls. But you get there eventually, but it's not terribly precise. I've got to clean up these speaker holes and make sure that my speakers actually fit. Oh, don't think I told you, but I've done the panels in the other side there. There's my knees. Haven't put any swages or anything in. I've just kind of put panels in. So I'm trying to see whether this is going to fit. Oh, yeah, they do need to open up a little bit more. I might see if I can use a drum sander to whoosh around there. Hey. Okay, so speakers are in. That's where they're gonna go. I kind of would have liked them a little bit more flush. I could bolt them from the back side, I guess, but then they would need to go in kind of before the panels go in, you know, the fillet panels. That can happen, but I suppose once we do it might be right once we get the hardboard or the door card material is going to kind of, yeah, I mean, that's going to hit on there, so there will be gappage, and so we won't have, you know, like we talked about, like big ugly plastic speaker covers like this kind of crap. That's not going in there, so they're rubbish. Probably what I'll do is put an opening in the door card, and then we'll just like have, you know, a series of evenly spaced, nicely punched holes for the sound to come out of. It might mute it a bit, but I'd rather that than ugly speakers. You know what I'm saying? So that's my panels all made. I was one screw short for that speaker over there, so, and I did put a couple of screws into there just to kind of it was popping a bit in here, so with those in there that just keeps it a lot more sort of rigid, less drummy. It's probably still going to be drummy, but we might put some sound deadening stuff on the doors and that as well, you know, just some thin stuff, you know. I don't know whether to put it in the doors or on these faces here, just to help absorb some of the drum, if you know what I mean, but not the bass. But yeah, so that's those done. I've just got to take them all off again now, undo 4 million screws, and I've got to get in and clean up all my edges and my cuts and round all my corners nicely and clean off all this Sharpie stuff and just kind of give everything a general sort of tidy up, and then I can pretty much put them back on, I guess, for now. I do want to get in and do some waterproofing, rust preventative stuff inside the doors, but that's going to be in an up and coming video. So I can probably either leave these off or put them back on, and that way I know where they are. I won't lose them again. I can just take them off when I come to do the sound deadening stuff, the waterproofy stuff. I've still got to vacuum out all the doors and the rear quarters and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'll get ahead. Okay, so just screwed those back in there. I haven't put the speakers and that back in, of course, so I just put those panels in there so I know where the screws and everything are. That's those 2, 3, 4 little tasks done. I've been wanting to do that for ages, get that kind of like closed off. Now the bead rolly clearancing didn't really pan out how, how I'd hoped. If I had got them in the right place the first time around, it would have been kind of a lot neater. But yeah, I didn't even think of that when that seat went sideways on me, but it doesn't matter. They're going to get sound deadening and stuff over them. I forgot to have a look what it looks like. I had the boot open before. See what it looks like from the other side. Okay. Let's have a look. I can't really see bugger all anyway, but it's better that it's black. But if I put that other gold body sound deadening stuff, it would have been a bit more significant, if you know what I mean. I'll just disconnect the battery again, so I don't forget. I don't know why I keep disconnecting it, it should be fine. But anyway, yeah, check it out. Nothing's really visually changed from last week, so but we got some little bit more done on the old Area 51 project, if you know what I'm saying. You probably do, because I just said it. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave this video. That's enough for today. Not real high-end sheet metal fabricating and shit like that, but kind of just creating stuff that has a simple purpose. It's not aesthetics, it's just more practical purposing stuff. But I do like to try and get things to look nice, but sometimes it just doesn't really happen, and when it's like this, it doesn't really matter. Again, sounds like a cop out, kind of is, but that's it. That's those bits done. If you haven't subscribed at this point, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff, and don't forget, for your high quality DMAC Customs merch, head on over to dmaccustoms.com on the interweb and order yourself some caps and hoodies and t-shirts, none of which I'm wearing today, because they're all my good going out stuff, not my just mucking around in the garage stuff. Yeah. Don't forget we're on the Instagram and the Facebook. Again, not doing a lot on there, but just spamming you fellas. But I'd like to get more in there, but I've got lots of other stuff going on, so busy. Yeah, till next time, take it easy and peace.